You were about to cry, I think, just now. We're gonna talk how much you love us and how much you respect us.
No, I was mostly going to talk about how much I love and respect Pedro, but you guys are great.
He's gone now. He's dead.
He's dead. We're the ones who are left behind. What about us?
Can we do a round of high five?
Oh, yeah.
Please pass it on.
Yeah.
Oh, this hand.
Yeah, pass it on. That's cool,
Whichever
isn't
hand
it?
you wipe with.
That should be a thing.
It should be a thing.
Okay.
Welcome to Creator to Creator, where we talk about what we do, how we do it, and why we do it.
Ooh, I'm not sure any of us know the answer to any of those questions.
Well, you better think of some pretty fast, because I'm about to ask you a question, Craig.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the first question for you.
Okay.
This is actually quite a nice one.
Oh.
So what was it like adapting a
How dare
video
you.
game into a show?
How dare you?
No, I'm actually joking. I actually have a good one.
Okay.
I remember, but after season 1, staying in your old house, guest house, and you would traipse across and sit in your little shed and play through the second game.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, when you started thinking about the second game, the second series, what did you start thinking about it during the writing of season 1?
Yes.
Right.
Because when I first met Neil, I went over to Naughty Dog, and so this was right when we were about to go and pitch the show to HBO, and he was like, hey, you want to see something from the second game? And I was like, yeah. And he showed me this great scene that we did, that you and Pedro adapt together in our show, and it was so, I was like, okay, this is going to be pretty amazing. And then while we were, I think, actually breaking the story for season 1, that's when the game came out. So I'm playing the game. So then, like, story sessions, I get on Zoom with Neil because it was in the pandemic.
Ooh.
And first 20 minutes is me going, oh my God, dude. Oh my God, this is so good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So in like the writing of the first season, you were thinking about the writing of the second season?
I was thinking about the writing of the second season. I was thinking about, okay, where does this all go now that I kind of know? You know, we're writing for Ellie, but we know what happens with Ellie. I'm also thinking ahead to Dina. I'm thinking ahead to all of you guys, and obviously your character Tommy's in part of the first game, but like it's really helpful to see where everything goes.
When do we get the Craig Mazin Twitch channel? So we
Ooh.
can all just watch you play
No,
video games.
Oh, that would be good.
Because Craig has introduced me to a lot of cool games via script notes. There's always that one cool thing, and usually it's some kind of game that you like to play.
I mean, and almost all of them you can find on Sony PlayStation.
Yeah.
Do I get money for that?
You should.
I was just playing it on a podcast for my friend, and he hadn't played it, and he's just like, just play it live. We got a green screen; it'll show in the back. And I was like, okay, I'll show you how to do it because I've done this before. Died 4 times instantly, carrying Sarah.
Oh, it's the worst way to die.
Instantly. I was like,
It's actually the saddest version of that story. Joel picks her up and he's like, don't worry, baby girl. And then they both just,
They both
credits.
just die. Yeah.
at the beginning.
God.
Before I even round the corner with everyone coming out of the theater, I was already done.
And I was like, hey, you guys, don't play the game. We want you to kind of bring yourselves to these characters and not feel too beholden to the performances that were there, because Troy's performance and Ashley's performance and Jeffrey's, they're so iconic. And so we wanted to give you guys freedom. And then everybody basically yelled at us in the world, like, what do you mean you didn't let them play the game? Like, we didn't let you. And also you guys all cheated and played it anyway.
We will all watch gameplay.
All watch gameplay. Some of you played it. I mean, like when you guys were watching gameplay for the first time, like I'm kind of curious when you did watch gameplay, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you
What did you
played it,
think?
no?
No, I played the actual game.
you
I
played
played the
it,
actual
sure.
game. I played like
2 days.
and the bonus cutscenes, and I did it in a whole weekend. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I wasn't
Sadist.
playing by myself the whole time, mind you. Okay, I was also watching my friend who'd played the game before play it too.
Oh, so you had like somebody who could
Switch
come in
on and switch
sort
off.
of take care
yeah,
of it.
because I'm not a professional gamer by any means. Please do not think that. But I do have experience holding a PS4 controller. So
Were there moments where you were like, I'm very hopeful that they do this, or in the adaptation, or?
Wait, sorry, my head just went in 5 different directions. Yeah, I was hoping the music shop scene would be included for sure. That was really special to me and really left a mark on me.
In the first trailer teaser you released, there's this, you're just looking so like glowingly at Ellie as she's playing, and it's it's beautiful. The look on your face, it's just like, wow, you're kind of basking in this person's talent. And the fact that you were so excited actually kind of reads when you watch the show, because I don't know what episode that
one's episode 4. And, you know, Bella did all this just tremendous work because they're very good at playing guitar.
And singing while playing guitar.
But that doesn't necessarily mean, it's not like I just know this song and you're picking and strumming at the same time, which I don't know how to, I play guitar, but I'm not that good. I'm mostly like gujun chord guy. So a lot of time spent practicing. They show up, they crush it, but then you sort of go, okay, but now you have to not be too good. You have to kind of fall into real, especially that first part where Ellie's just playing to herself. And then Dina comes in and that was
play that part. Where you get to use the touchpad to play guitar.
Oh, you mean on the pad?
Because you could actually
songs.
You can play the music various times. It's like multiple times.
There's videos on YouTube where people will play other songs using the controller.
Yeah. I played my own song. I was wondering if you had, because Bella writes music and writes it so beautifully.
Bella does the real thing.
Controller.
Well, talking about that scene though, I remember when getting to see you like react was so beautiful. I remember it was so, your emotions were like so close to the surface that day. I remember it was just like so beautiful to watch your reaction to it when I wasn't on camera and I was still like doing a little bit of blah blah blah. And we had like these earwigs in.
The earwigs down there sometimes wouldn't work, and that was
bringing me back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that was a really special day. And the set for that was like built in a studio. That set, it was a really beautiful day.
I totally agree. You have like an old man's soul.
Thank you.
And I think when people have old souls, even though they're young, when they sing, it sometimes comes out. And so I feel like your voice was like piercing my heart. And
nice.
It was actually much harder to not cry in that moment. I remember they were like, hey, can you pull it back? I was like, this is me trying. This is me trying to not
they
feel.
Have an old railroad worker's soul with the voice of
just like at this like
opera soprano.
You like what Sadness and Inside Out just.
Oh yeah,
it was really hard. It was really hard. I'm always emotional.
So like also what I like watching, you know, all of you guys are very good as pairs, and you kind of instinctively understand like when the person who's your scene partner is occupying a certain emotional space, the other person knows to kind of go to the other way to kind of balance things out. And there's something really interesting when you get emotional like that, and then we see you performing Ellie, and Ellie gets a little bit shy. And a little aw shucks and a little you know, and I see that coming around over and over with you guys, like the two of you together too. Like,
oh man,
there's this great moment in our third episode where it's just at the beginning, you guys are rebuilding the town.
Oh yeah.
And you're out there, you know, he's like, you know, this old contractor's like, I can build houses still, my back hurts. And you're like, you need a little help? And he just comes up and just boom, like,
yeah.
I'm in my 20s, I can do it all day long. And you had this great like,
well, I had on the day I had a real 9-pound hammer, which was great, and just going at it. But I was like, no, you have arthritis and you have all these things, and you have to play that. And he comes in just looking great. I mean, that they must have sewed that T-shirt.
Did you
on
say it was the light?
Yeah, good sun.
Yeah, I stood in that sun. Didn't work.
But oh no, it's just. And there's like kind of sheepish grins, like, what do you want?
What are you gonna?
Me,
you know
man?
what? That's next generation's coming. It's cool.
Brick house.
Young, had you chopped wood before that scene? Like, is chopping wood a regular pastime for you?
I picked it up recently in the last like couple of years.
Yeah.
But before the show, not since the show.
Oh, in between and after, just here and there when I need some firewood.
Semi-professional wood chopper.
Yeah.
Well, he's like an enigma online and social media. You don't see anything, but then all of a sudden, just a video of you chopping wood in the middle.
I
middle
bring
of
it
the
out every
Maryland
now and then
forest.
and archive it. Sometimes I feel like a wood chopper, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But it was the same, like hitting something.
Yeah.
I guess
Absolutely.
the action itself is
Chillest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Did you watch, actually for both of you, did you watch season 1? Like, did you know the world of The Last of Us before you like had a meeting for season 2?
Yeah. Well, I played the game the day before the meeting with Craig and Neil, and then I told them I played the game, and Craig was like, I wish you didn't play the game. But
See, they're gonna yell at me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get it. And then when I got the writing, when I got the scripts, then I completely realized why you didn't want us to necessarily play the game, because it's different.
It is, and I just find like and I watched it happen with you, all of you, is that even if there were, things about the performances in the game that were really stand out, that inevitably you guys just reprocess it all anyway, and then weirdly, it is like where it matches and diverges is fascinating to watch. But there are times where it just naturally does do this interesting thing. Yeah. It's fun to see, from our end of things at least.
I think something distinct that I realized the other day was when, something that really, I think, shows our dynamic as Bella and Isabela is that scene where we're calling into the grocery store and we do the little sign language.
Oh,
because it wasn't like written down.
Yeah.
What was written down was point to the bottle, point to the knife, and we go. And you go there, I go here.
Yeah.
And then we just started.
All of this.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that's us.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like a little peek into how we really are.
Yeah.
And that was
fun.
The third day of shooting, maybe.
Yeah.
So like, I'm thinking this is going to be fine. They're already, like, the two of you are already so comfortable with each other. That was instant. So much fun to watch.
Oh man.
Thanks.
Was that the original intention for that scene, to have a little bit of levity before?
Yeah, I mean, they were
Casualness
like,
of
the
killing
idea
clickers.
there is that Dina and Ellie are maybe a little too confident, but we're kind of learning that they've handled these things before. Like in season 1, Joel and Tess and Ellie go into this museum and they hear a clicker, and Joel and Tess are like, oh no, because they live in the Boston QZ. They don't deal with them every day.
True, yeah.
But now out in Jackson, these guys are killing it out there, which meant, of course, we had to give you a slightly more advanced challenge when you fall through a hole in the first floor.
That was fun.
Scene.
I don't get like anxiety for stunts, but I did for that one. It just before we did it, like was having this like. It was also right at the end of the day, and I was so tired, and I was having this like silent panic attack that I didn't tell anyone about.
On a wire?
Yeah, on a wire, but actually, like, my
course.
feet had to be in the exact right position in order for someone to give the signal to the wire guy to drop me, so that it was safe. And my arms, because it was like wasn't a super big hole, and I had to make sure that my arms weren't like splayed. It was so technical.
And the end of the day too.
The end of the day.
Already such a long freaking day.
I remember just before we actually did that. The drop, I was lying on the floor of my trailer and just like oh my gosh, I was almost like half asleep, and then I had to like wake myself up to remember that I had to do this like falling through the floor thing.
And you have to trust the riggers to do the decel. You're just at the whim of and of course they're very talented and very experienced, but for the deceleration, they're basically just by hand,
manual,
and it's
stopping it when you need to be stopped.
And I don't like roller coasters. It's like the stomach drop thing of like falling.
Yeah.
I really don't enjoy that feeling. But after doing it the first time, I feel like your body kind of gets used to what it is, and then that stops happening. Well, that's what happened to me anyway. But yeah, that was fun. I don't know. We didn't do it.
I think we only did it maybe like
twice,
3 or 4.
Twice, 3 times.
I think maybe 3.
3.
Looks so good.
We probably shouldn't start our season dropping you.
Dropping number 1
end the
through a
season
hole.
that way would make sense.
Episode 1 was like episode 1 and episode 7 were the heaviest stunt episodes for me, like right at the start and right at the end.
I know, so physical and just like you wish there were a way to ease into these things. I mean, for you guys too, I suppose it would be probably, I mean, we'd sort of eased in because like our day 0 was when Dina comes to pick Ellie up to go on patrol. So that was like a nice day. The two of you could just have a fun chat.
God.
No one fell through a floor. But then right away it was like, you're going to be in a barn fight.
Yeah.
And then we're going to drop you through a floor and you're going to run down the
Using a
stairs and look
knife.
through the thing. And
Kill the clicker, kill the stalker.
Yeah. That's kind of our show, isn't it? It's a bit of a like, you were new to the process, or you like, does this ride go this fast all the time?
Yeah. The intensity is always up a notch every time.
Yeah.
There's always something happening right around the corner.
Yeah.
But we were well taken care of. I mean, we had you first episode. We had Mark Mylod the second. We had Peter Hoare, who were all part of our family from the first season. So you were able to kind of build build the culture and the environment pretty early, and we felt very safe to.
Well, I just watched that this morning.
You watched 202 this morning.
I watched 202 like full through. What
You
an
didn't watch it on
episode.
your.
It's
on
so
phone,
good.
I did.
Oh,
I
That's
couldn't
really
help
bad.
myself.
On
I
your
couldn't help
phone.
myself. And it was incredible.
Why would you admit to that? Why would you admit to that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
There he's honest.
Had to.
Well, I gotta say, that's a
so
pretty big compliment for an episode like that. If it can still fire through
Oh my
across
God.
a phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Can we just all go to the Chinese and watch every?
I wish I could.
That for me was really amazing to watch episode 2 because I hadn't seen the whole like Jackson sequence with the infected, and I'd heard about the dolomite, which was the
Yeah,
fake
our
snow
snow.
that was because it was so rainy in Vancouver, it got stuck to everyone's shoes. So I'd heard about that, and I had a sticker that said dolomite, but I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen anything, but I just read it in the script, and I was so impressed. You shot that for like 2 weeks, right?
The
battle.
action
The battle.
the battle sequence
battle.
itself was about 2.5 weeks, and then I came back for maybe another 4 or 5 days of second unit.
Yeah.
And then there was the dolomite, but there was also the white Cheeto dust, which is essentially like some kind of starchy substance that floats through the air.
Is it
Gets in your
styrofoam
mouth.
or what?
That-
No,
I
it's
think
like
that
theoretically
costs like
edible.
$500 a bag. And
Yeah,
Right.
it's like a starch,
it's like
like a
4 or 5
potato
bags every
starch.
take.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, I have another question.
so-
How much of the infected and the clickers, how much of that was practical and how much was VFX?
There was, I'd say we had about 50 background actors, and then we had an additional maybe 25 to 30 stunt actors who were all in full prosthetics.
Which takes an enormous amount of time to get them dressed, get the prosthetics on,
Oh,
get
yeah.
the prosthetics off, move them in and out. And then, of course, there's like a safety factor because they're running and we're lighting things on fire, the explosions. So the trick is...
It's raining.
It's raining sometimes.
The dolomite
Sometimes
is getting
it's...
kind of weird.
But you think like 50 plus another 20, like 75 people seems like a lot. It is not. And so...
Especially in the vast expanse of that set that
it's
Don
huge.
built, our production designer Don and all his crew.
Yeah. So we have Weta come in and fill in this world, using the real people and then kind of building out from there to create this. But what's amazing to think is like you guys up there on the fence and then Rutina on the roof are you guys. It's like they're there. I mean, I feel I believe every second.
But the whole sequence was wild because we start off with there's the Paul Revere moment through the town and mounting the horses and going, and then everything at the wall. There's 2 or 3 inches of brass on the ground from all the shells that have been fired. And then you have 30 feet of flaming liquid propane that you get to wield around for quite a while.
Kind of fun.
Mark, I think Mark Mylord, you deciding to choose him for that episode was so genius because he'd obviously been on Game of Thrones and he directed my first scene ever in anything
Oh,
Yes.
on Game of Thrones when I was
Yes.
11. And so it was so...
I think we've had enough small talk.
Exactly. Why are we here?
Why we here?
So I think it was so genius of you to bring him for that episode because he is so used to shooting that sort of scale of action and fight sequences, and he has that ability to be able to have these quiet intimate moments with you and also command a whole set full of 1,000 moving parts.
Very clear in his vision. Our meetings in the beginning of every day,
Yeah.
he'd get on the God mic and be very clear about how we're structuring the day and what we hope to accomplish, and yeah, I think that's a really great characteristic that he has.
How did you think about Mark for this episode because of that? How do you assign a director to an episode?
It's tricky. It's kind of like casting, actually,
Yeah.
And so just like casting, partly like with all of you guys, Neil and I just sort of look you in the eyes and kind of just feel a feeling, and then the rest of it is sort of hoping and praying, and then chemistry, because chemistry is a whole other thing. And we do the same thing with our directors, and because our show changes all the time, I mean, you guys know one episode is like this, and then another episode is like a completely different show. So we bring directors kind of bespoke, But with Mark, who not only did all those amazing episodes of Game of Thrones, but also was the producing director on Succession and did so many amazing episodes there and won the Emmy
And
multiple
Entourage.
times. And the Entourage before that. So he can do comedy, he can do action, but I also knew that he could get what was going to be the hardest sequence. And I suppose we should probably talk about what happened there.
Wow.
And that is what
Joel
happens.
dies.
What happens with Joel?
Sorry, has anyone seen it?
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard that out loud.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so Joel meets his end, and so I actually said to Mark when I said, look, it's not like I chose him, and I'm like, congrats, I picked
get
you.
the episode.
I'm like, would you please, and I said, I'm gonna give you the script, and it's for the second episode of a second season, which normally a guy like Mark Mylod is gonna be like, no, I'll kick a show off. I'm not doing the second episode of a second season. But I just said, this is it. Everything led up to this, and everything that happens after comes from this. This is the fulcrum of the whole story. And he said he was more nervous about getting that moment between you and Pedro and Caitlin.
Yeah.
That kind of triangle of violence and sadness and fear and love.
Mm-hmm.
More scared of that than the battle.
Wow.
And that was pretty remarkable. Like these are like questions I want to ask you, but then like on the day I don't want to like mess things up by like, hey, talk about your process, so I leave you be. But we create a situation where Pedro, he's looking like that on the floor, and you get brought in and you get thrown down and knocked about. How do you find that what you do, which is to be horrified and then just like a child and then like a little savage and every possible, how do you do that and then do it over and over and over? How do you do that? What are the challenges?
And then do that. And then they do that immediately after you call cut.
Oh yeah.
Turn to the camera and go, that's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question, Craig. I think, I had a lot of anticipation leading up to that day. And then on the actual day, I treated it like the most boring, mundane day ever. I literally made my mum like a Mother's Day card on Moonpig, which I don't know whether you guys know what Moonpig is. It's like a card making app. Yeah. And then I was just like did really like stuff that was so unrelated to what was going to happen. Listen to Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
Sorry.
Right, Peanut Butter Jelly Time?
It's happening.
So Peanut Butter Jelly Time is mine and Craig's code for
Baseball.
Death.
Which is why
Yes.
I was singing Peanut Butter Jelly right up until
Peanut butter jelly.
it was like literally dancing around screaming it
Yeah.
right up until the last moment. If you like watch the rushes just
I can.
I'm, like, mouthing it.
I see a little bit of peanut butter jelly time
I
happening.
think there's an element of like I'm trying to really, I don't know, I'm not like ignoring what's about. Yeah, I guess I am actually. I'm sort of pretending that it's not about to happen, so that when it does happen, it like hits me harder. If I'm in the complete opposite like emotional state and sort of like have this like almost anxiety and like too much energy in my body, it then when I like fall and go down there, it just, I don't know, I guess I have all the energy stored but in a different headspace, so that it doesn't get exhausting. And then between takes as well, I'd try and do the same thing where I'd like hype myself up and then go down, but then it's less important. Once we get going and I'm in the groove of it, then it's, I don't know how, I guess you just kind of do
But
it.
starting is kind of a thing
perfect
to get to.
The starting is the
I remember I was sitting with Mark, and you're just like huddled together, and everyone's quite reverent around that moment. You know?
yeah.
So the crew is actually about as quiet as I've ever heard them. Everybody's just sort of whispering almost because this is happening, and the two of us are sitting there, and we just like, action, you do your thing, cut, and then we were just looking at each other like, what the hell? Well, anyway, let's do it again, and we'll get more.
And I love
we're greedy.
I love the chance to do it again and again and again, because there's like always more. Well, maybe not always, but most of the time, it's like exciting to get the chance to do it again and like try and like go even further, or do one that's like way like more pulled back, and just like see how far like you can push yourself emotionally, and how traumatized you can get, and how much you can manipulate your emotions.
Well,
What's
that's the name of the game.
Well, I'm curious about after that, in the aftermath, when you wake up in the hospital.
Yeah.
That was a really heavy hitting moment. I mean, how do you, because you have no Pedro in the episode, they insert the flashback of that moment, but in that moment, there's no flashback that you can visually see. So how do you jump into that?
Well, I think the experience of filming that scene with Pedro in episode 2 was so vivid and stuck in my mind so much that I was seeing it again.
Right.
When we shot the opening of episode 3, in that little hospital room in a studio set in the middle of Vancouver, I was seeing him again on the floor and sort of feeling it all again. So yeah, I guess thankfully I have quite a vivid imagination, which is terrible for me at sometimes and really helpful at others.
But it looked incredible when you see that flashback. It felt very visceral.
Yeah.
And then one thing I was excited to watch was in that same episode, I think it's episode 3, where you have your you had to see one last person before they release you, which is with
you and Gail.
Yeah. Gail. And then you walk away and you think it's all fine, but then the lighting and everything kind of darkens, and then it's. Yeah, I was looking forward to watching that.
Oh, thanks. Well, I remember that was like a dance with Ksenia, who's our DOP. That moment, because it was very specific, the moment that I go into darkness and to have my face shift at the same time. It is just a dance, and we sort of, because she did a lot of season 1, so we knew each other really well and could sort of have this non-verbal communication or even verbal communication. I was like, you can just tell me when it goes dark, like you're not interrupting any process or anything. So she'd just be like, now, and then I'd just sort of like drop.
Well, it works, and there's an interesting change that we made story-wise from the games. So we wanted to show how Tommy is this pillar of the community who defends Jackson. But then in rearranging that, we had an opportunity then to have Dina show a little bit. Even when we first meet you, we meet you in context with Joel, with Pedro's character. And it was important then, because one of my favorite scenes is when you come to the house in that 3rd episode and you impress upon her that this is not just a loss for Ellie, this is a loss for you too.
Yeah, I remember, we witnessed that scene differently.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of facing away and I'm supposed to be unconscious, but at the same time there was a version of that scene where I somehow wake up in the middle of it and try to reach for a knife or a gun or something, which it's kind of, I can see why you got rid of that. I can see why you got rid of it. It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I never actually got to see it. I was sort of just, my eyes were closed and all I could do was hear it. And
oh man,
maybe worse.
That's worse.
Your imagination is so much worse.
It was, yeah. And also I couldn't move my body, so I couldn't flinch whenever I would hear Caitlin scream or hit the mat. So she was still hitting something with the golf club. It was just a mat next to Pedro's head, I guess. And it was Craig.
It was
Craig.
No, I said his knee, not me. I mean, I'm dedicated, but that's a little too far.
His knee. And then even that final blow, I still had to hear, and it was so weird.
But it's
it
quiet.
went so quiet. It was that quiet while filming.
It just slips in.
Well, that's the thing you said about how quiet the set environment was that day. Is something that's so unique to this, because when you're on these things, which you all have experience with, it's so secret, and all the scripts are under lock and key, and usually people only get the pages of the day when you're on these big kind of budget things and have a lot of big audience that are trying to get every little morsel they can. But in this case, we're dealing with The Last of Us, which has existed in this other medium, where a lot of people have been involved and a lot of people have had their own immersion in it, and they have their own love for it. And you could talk to grips on our set or set deck or people who've played the game, and they know we're all on the same page telling the same story, because we all have a familiarity with it that you might not get on another set when all the scripts are kept under lock and key.
Yeah.
And so it's what you describe is so terrifying to me, because Neil and Craig and I had a discussion about this in the first season about Tommy being in that scene, and how in the game he reveals our names, and to trust a stranger like that didn't quite feel right for me, for Tommy. And I was asking, what do we plan on doing at that moment? Craig's like, don't worry, I have an idea. And his idea included switching our roles. So I think that was a nice little weird swap that actually maintains the same spirit. because Joel says he thinks of you as a daughter. It's almost like you were more of a daughter.
Yeah.
And the first time when he sees you and he says kiddo,
Hey, kiddo.
Even
Hey, kiddo.
watching it, I felt jealous. When he said kiddo and then it's
Hey.
you, I'm like, what?
You don't
That's
call
my-
me.
I'm kiddo.
That's my name.
Exactly.
That's how bad it's gotten. And
Yeah.
there is a mystery as the season goes on that starts in that first episode. And I think you guys did such a good job walking on that thin line of, and I loved how you don't know. That's actually important. You don't understand what actually went down. Ellie tries to get everybody behind her, to go form a posse and go after her. And there was a scene that we don't cut a lot of scenes, but there was one scene we cut after that town hall meeting where you two, Isabela and Bella, are walking together, and
yeah.
you're kind of just grilling Bella, like, so what do you think about that? And Bella's like, it's no problem, I'm fine. And you walk away, and we see you processing that, like, nah, I don't believe her. But there's an intelligence that you show with your character that makes that unnecessary. Because when you show up later that night, we're like, of course she knows.
It makes so much more sense. I do also think that even though I believe I can see through Ellie's ruse, I'm still also being lied to.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not spared anything either. And I don't know, I think it was really, really just intelligent to create that bond between Dina and Joel.
Yeah.
Because it then, it wasn't there before in the game, really. It also gives Dina incentive. And in a way, like, her love for Joel was just an extension of her love for Ellie. And so was his relationship with Dina was an extension of his love for Ellie, because that's the closest he could get. I'm her best friend. So
That's an amazing way of looking at it.
and we don't even know each other that well. Him and I, it's like a blank slate for each other. There's no
baggage.
There's no baggage. Of course he's gonna be like, she actually treats me like a human being. Like I could be her father. Shit.
Can we talk about that scene for a minute? That
Oh
first
my
scene
God.
between Pedro and Catherine. That
Oh my
is-
God. Oh, yeah.
I saw for the first time the other day.
Okay.
excited about
How'd
that.
that hit?
Oh God, dude.
It's incredible.
It is
I
masterful.
saved her.
Masterful.
It was
whole
good.
thing.
It was fun one. It was fun to watch it happen.
Oh God, I wish I was there.
When he stands up just at the end and she like flinches, that was
Well, that was so that sort of quick stand up was something that Pedro and I kind of worked through when we were blocking, in the beginning of the day. You block out your scene, you kind of figure things out. The original theory was, he says, I saved her, and then he stands up and walks out and he goes, I feel like I need to stand up and then say it.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But in my mind, director-wise, as I'm shooting, I'm like, now what? When he does that, it's going to be hard to have him just stand up and then wait and then have him say that. Editorially, it's also hard to get the camera from somebody sitting to somebody standing. So there's some practical things I'm thinking about there. And I don't want to be wide because that loses the intimacy. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'll come around to the other side and I'll see Catherine, but what is she going to do? And she just did it.
It's amazing.
And it was that
Her reaction
flinch.
time is also slow because she's like 4 rye whiskeys in.
Yeah.
Yep, she's got that. Well, no one's better at playing drunk than Catherine. And she's good. She's got that nailed. And the scary moments in the shot where he stood up. And this happens, oh man, you guys, I don't know how you guys pull this off, but routinely what'll happen is we need somebody to feel something. Not only will you guys feel it, but you will feel it with perfect timing. So he stood up in this one take and he goes, I saved her. And then a tear falls. Just like his brain held it back until it needed to come down. And on that take, we're watching it on playback, the screen goes dark and the film goes dark, the video feed, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And they were like, no, we think it's
Check the card, check the card.
Check the card. It's okay. I was like, my heart, because we're never gonna get that back again. Never. And there's another moment like Caitlin is looking at Pedro and then she turns to look at the golf clubs and then she turns back to him. How
Genius.
do you, okay, serious question for you guys, because I don't do what you do. I'm the beneficiary of it. You can't actually that's just happening on is there a way to do it?
I thought that was I thought you guys
No.
did that. I thought you guys
Trick
put the
yourself
tear.
into a waking hallucination.
No, you thought we
I
visually
thought for
affected
both
that?
of those moments that you guys gave them a tear to time it out, right?
That is
'Cause
coming
it
out of
looked
their
so
heads.
cinematic.
I know.
That's
Can you
insane.
control any of that?
I don't know.
I think you can, 'cause-
I kind of, in a way, yeah. The answer is kind of yes.
Yes.
How?
So there's like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm one with my tear ducts, I guess.
It's awesome.
It's almost like a muscle. Like a cry is almost like a muscle that you can exercise. Like, you use your diaphragm for singing. You use your I don't know. It's like a placement, I guess. And then the more you do it, the easier it is. And then on top of that, the more you do it, the more you feel like it's easier. So like, I literally have to stop myself from crying.
Right.
And it's harder for me not to cry now.
It's also just the moments, and not to gas you up now, but it's just.
Go on.
When the thing is right, when the thing is true, and you're working with people who are telling the truth, and you can feel it. It often just kind of takes care of itself, but so they can get there.
I have a question.
One of my redos.
You have a question?
Yeah. No, I have a question. So after Joel dies and Manny leans over, he goes "Pendejo," and he walks away. Was that was that scripted, or was that?
Yeah, no, that was scripted because that's from the game, actually. In the game, Manny spits on him.
Oh.
And the thing is, like, there are moments that hit so hard in the game, and we kind of back away from them. There are other moments where they hit at a certain level in the game, and then I think for live action they would hit too hard. And what did you do before Beef? Because to me, there's like Beef, Young, boom, there it is.
Yeah, I had a kind of a double life in New York. I was working in corporate finance during the day, and then I was going to an evening conservatory, like drama school, from like 6 to 10 p.m.
Whoa.
I was bartending, catering. I was working in the back of a kitchen. I was using vacation days to shoot like short films and student films because it only takes like 2-3 days. Yeah.
And then Beef.
Yeah, and of course it was pandemic. I thought pandemic was the universe telling me to put a stop to it. So I left New York. I was back home in Maryland, and then that audition came about, and I couldn't say no. And then since then, I've just been on this thing, and I feel like if it wasn't for Beef, I don't know if I would have gotten enough visibility to even get on your radar to meet with you. And
I'm not gonna lie to you, you would not have.
Yeah,
because I mean, the thing is, like, we get inundated, and we try as best as we can to not respond to all the people knocking on our doors. We go knock on other people's doors.
Right.
It's just more interesting that way to us, to go find you guys. But it's hard to find people. Like, that's the miserable part of our business. There's so many great people. We're looking for great people. There are great people. We just don't know where they are, and they don't know how to get us to pay attention to them.
Well, you said something really beautiful one time. Especially since Pedro and I don't look like the Tommy and Joel from the game.
Yeah.
But you're like, I'm not looking for faces and skin tones or any of that. I'm casting souls. And what's crazy is when you can cast the soul that matches the look of the character, because I can't imagine anyone playing Jesse other than you.
You're perfect for it.
Perfect.
You really are.
Perfect.
Well, everyone here,
Yeah, no, but you were just chopping wood in Maryland there.
Yeah. I was legitimate.
I was a flower delivery man for 12 years. I did it in Austin for a long time, and then when I first moved to LA in 2011, I answered a Craigslist ad from a woman who never had ever done a Craigslist ad, and I go there on my first day. She goes, "Who are you?" I was like, "I'm Gabriel. You called me in for the interview." She goes, "Oh, okay, great." French Canadian woman named Suzanne. She pulls me up to a big map of Los Angeles. She's like, "Where are the Palisades?" There. Where's Brentwood? There. Where's Santa Monica? There. Santa Barbara. Okay. She's like, "Okay, good. Take these tulips to this address." And I get the board, and it says Harrison Ford. And I was like, "There has to be more than one, right? I mean, it can't be the Harrison Ford." And
that would have sucked if it were some
guy. And she puts me in the van with these flowers and sends me to Harrison Ford's house. And I walk up and I pull up to the gate, and I was like, I guess this actually might be the place. And he opens up, and he's got his little earring in his left ear, and he's every bit of all these characters that I ever met. And I've always been really drawn to him, because when I started this, I was in high school swinging a hammer to get my fine arts credit as a set builder, and that's kind of how I started. So the first kind of superstar, movie star I ever met in this town was the guy who kind of was a bit of the inspiration for doing what I do. But yeah. So that was I just delivered flowers.
And Izzy, how old were you when you started?
I was
like Broadway
a child. I was a child.
You were 10, you were 11.
5 days old.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, I didn't think I would be doing TV and film. I just wanted to do theater, because I really liked Judy Garland, Shirley Temple. Those girlies could sing, they could dance, they could act.
That's what I was going to ask you about as well, because you also do music and you just released like another song or
Yeah,
something
in
recently.
Christmas time.
Christmas time. Is that something that you're like actively doing all the time? Is that something that you dip in and out of? And like, do you want to like have a career in music as well? Like, what's your feelings about music?
I think I publicly dip in and out, but I think overall I just always make songs and record voice memos, and it's kind of just for me. I don't want to give everyone everything.
That's
You
nice.
know, like I think I should keep my own little secrets sometimes, and I don't know. I've been doing this since I was like 10. You too, you get it. Like,
I get it.
Oh, you make music
Yeah.
too. You've shown some really amazing songs. Are you gonna release anything?
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah.
You dipping in and out? What's the story?
Yeah.
I'm dipping out. Yeah, maybe one day. I think.
One day. I personally think the music that you make is really special and it's really good.
Thank
Very
you.
honored that you played it for us.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah, one day for sure. It's something that I am doing quietly. And I've made some really fun friends through that. And it's just a nice thing to do. Like, that feels like home to me now, because I do that in London with my friends basically now, and that feels like a really nice escape, and I get the same sort of feelings of like satisfaction from that than I do from being on set.
Personal thing.
Yeah.
Gabriel,
Probably why it's so
you
scary.
Performed too a couple of times. Jammed out with our
couple of
first
times.
AD at
Kidding
the
me?
Orpheum.
Oh yeah, well,
That's a daily concert from Gabe.
Yeah, true.
But I'm more of a kind of troubadour, kind of 3 chords of the truth kind of guy.
You're a balladeer.
Yeah.
But I play, I record some songs, and
I just think it's
but
interesting that we're all, somewhat musically
you play
inclined.
beautifully too.
And I think a huge part of the show is the music and the soundtrack, which is why I loved when we got to watch it at the TCL?
Chinese theater.
Chinese theater.
Yeah.
I still call
I
it
call it
Grauman's.
Chinese Grauman's. That's real.
Okay, yeah.
Chinese theater.
Yeah, Chinese theater. You could hear this when you hear the sound on that scale. It's incredible, and it drops you into that world so much faster and harder.
Yeah, but that it was tough. It was tough. Like, people watch the show. This season takes about 7 hours to watch. It takes years of our lives to make, which is sort of insane.
Years off our lives too.
Years off our
Yeah.
lives, but everybody uses the cliche we're all a family, and it's like actually something else, because family are people that you just sort of happen to have in your house and you're related to, and so you love them, of course, but these are like people that you meet because of a mission.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're like soldiers in a unit together. We are dug in together.
We're either melded together or we're like frozen
Yeah.
together, depending on what.
It's a lot of enmeshment.
But it is.
A lot
It
of
is.
enmeshment. So much enmeshment.
It is the way you describe. You never really feel like, I haven't felt like I've left this, even during hiatus. There's still something that's working on other things. There's still something, a current running towards what we have to do.
Get under your skin,
Yeah.
But you were about to cry, I think, just now. You were going to talk about how much you love us and how much you respect us.
No, I was mostly going to talk about how much I love and respect Pedro, but you guys are great too.
He's gone now. He's dead.
He's dead. We're the ones who are left behind. What
Yeah.
about us?
It was very emotional, that whole episode, and knowing that would be the last time, maybe, unless you do write something
you
else
never
in the
know.
future. You never know.
You never know.
But it felt to us like an ending.
It was. And look, when it's always, endings are fascinating to me. When we wrapped our principal photography, I did a little and it was we ended fittingly. It's Bella. They're ducked behind a little bush, staring at a blue screen. It's the most
With a gun.
technical, boring shot in history. I'm like, a little bit more to your left, and then I, gave a little, and I just, pleh. And what was so interesting is that we owed one little extra scene because of some weather issues, and it was, it's the scene where the two of you go to visit Joel's grave.
Yeah.
It's one of the few scenes that we shot in the United States. It's in Montana, and these guys, you two, had said goodbye to each other like 12 times at this point. But there was it was like you knew that was the last one, and we just wrapped that day, and I just watched the two of you.
It was really sad. Endings are really hard, because you do become very it's more for your brain as well. You just it's a routine of you get used to seeing, I got used to seeing your face every single day.
I grew
And
accustomed to your
Bon
face.
too.
Yeah, and Bonbon's face. Isabela's dog, for context.
Huge upgrade from Skipper. to Skipper.
It's true. No, it's true.
I don't know
Bonbon-
Skipper, so I feel bad for Skipper.
Never been on a set before. Bonbon is
Skipper had never been near
So-
humans before.
It's true.
Yeah, I love Skipper.
Me too. I miss her.
But yeah,
But yeah, it was.
But it is emotional. Yeah, you get used to seeing each other's face and like being in each other's presence, and like, you wrote me this beautiful thing after we wrapped, and you were describing like the like creaks in the. It was like how you said like a mouse, and you're like a mouse in the house, and you could feel like
something like that.
yeah, and it was so beautiful the way that you wrote what you wrote, and the feeling if you do grow so accustomed to each other's like tiny little like movements and tells and signs of like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, and oh, I'm really uncomfortable right now in my soaking wet costume because
I have a wedgie.
We came up with little signs, right?
We came up with
Do you remember
signs for I don't want to do this right now.
Oh, it was
Which,
came up
what
with
is
signs.
it? I need
Don't
to
tell
know.
him.
Never
Oh, yeah,
tell
sorry,
Never
sorry.
tell
or I
him.
need to go pee, or I have a wedgie.
I have a wedgie,
or
cover me.
There are various things.
I have a
yeah.
wedgie, cover me. Did you guys have that? Do you guys
Well,
have
they
that?
weren't wearing skinny jeans.
To be fair, it was
Fair point.
Sat in the wet.
Or
stuff,
getting
just
we were
waiting
getting
for
on
the
and off
next
of
thing.
horses.
on and off in horses a lot.
These guys. I mean,
I did learn
physically
from
went through it.
because we're having ASL language interpretations of the show, which
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
an ASL version
Daniel
coming
from
out.
Coda is
Yeah.
going to do it. and-
Yeah.
The last of
yeah,
us.
Yeah.
us.
Dina.
We were taught.
Yeah.
Ooh, you have your own
Yeah.
site?
Last of us. Last of us. Yeah. We were all taught how to say it at the party.
No one needs me to come up with signs because my face is the
Does
sign.
everything.
Oh, you'll say
True.
something.
Oh,
for
I'll
sure.
just say it.
Yeah, you'll just say
I'll
it.
just say it.
Call it how it is.
I have another question for everybody. With you guys now being new to the show, for the release of it, how are you feeling about that and about like being part of this giant thing? And like, is there any? I don't know. Like for me, it felt very surreal and a bit scary when season 1 came out. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be. I guess you've had Beef and you've had big shows come out too, Alien notably. And so, what like does this feel different? Like, how do you feel? Basically,
I think it certainly feels more intense than anything thus far. I think because Beef was kind of a new thing, people weren't sure what it was going to turn into, which is a cool experience. But this one, there's a rabid fan base, and there's an incredible first season. So there's a lot of noise that I am like actively kind of ignoring. But I think what helps is I remember I had a conversation with Craig after a scene, one episode or one day, and I was like, I was not sure about this one scene. I remember asking Craig like, I don't know about that, and then Craig was like, trust me, if there's something wrong, we don't move on, like we'll get it right. And so I realized, like, with that meticulousness, I just put that trust, because I can't watch my own stuff. I learned that just recently. I cannot be watching my own things, but I have trust in the showrunner to kind of keep this boat going.
you get lost though. I remember no one can ever find you on the walkies. It's like, anyone got eyes on Young?
I
Where's
know.
Young?
He's right
he goes
there.
on he
He's
goes
just
wandering in
walkabouts.
the woods, but also still on the perimeter. Like,
Yeah,
I think we're liking that way.
I'm there, but I tend to find like a nice little quiet space to get into my head. But I do find myself, I am my own worst critic, and I tend to kind of rack my brain over the takes. But when I watch the thing, and this is kind of coming from me being selfish, I forget that it's so much bigger than just my performance, and I realize even down to the takes and the shots that are used ultimately are just to serve the storyline, and I realize also that one moment here, and we were talking about this earlier, when there's something that it could be almost too intense, it's better to pull back, because you save that moment, you save that energy for something more pivotal down the line later into the season that serves the plot better. So I'm learning, the more I do this as an actor, to trust the process, and which means not just my performance and to do the work, but to trust that everyone else around me is doing the work, and if not, a better job.
Yeah, there's something about what you guys do that's it's really challenging, because you have to give yourself completely to your character, to your perspective and your moment. On our side of things, what we especially as you start editing and you go through your career, you write things, you direct things, you edit things, and really it's editing. You discover that nothing exists in isolation. No matter what somebody does in a performance, that performance is changed dramatically for better or worse by the next shot. What is the next thing I see? How does somebody react? So when we're talking about Bella, you're playing the guitar, what do we see there? And when we go from there to there, now what do we see? We see you looking away. Everything is in the in-between.
It's all in the relationship.
All the relationship, right? I don't even talk about character, just think about relationships.
Yeah.
And so the hard part, and I feel bad sometimes because I don't know how. I try as best I can to help you guys, but sometimes I think I can. I think you just have to get there yourselves, is to go to some place amazing and then just trust the movie gods, the TV gods that
The editors.
that in the relationship of
Yeah.
those shots and the choices we make. And that's why we shoot so damn much. That's why we have all those angles.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's an element of that in which it's hard because we're kind of manipulating our emotions all day, and so there's an element of like sometimes it's been like the director or you, we're like we've got the take, and like sometimes I feel like we as actors, we need to go again just to feel for our own emotional well-being, to feel like we've completed the day and completed the emotional
Resolve
need of the scene, to resolve it, and because it's the worst feeling when it's a big emotional scene and you feel like you've not done as much as you could do, and you've not
you want to exhaust all the possibilities.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with going too far.
But sometimes it'll be like everyone else around you, it's like, we know that we've got it and we found it, and you're probably right and definitely are right. The amount of times that's actually, you say we've got it and that's the take you end up using because it's the best one, but the feeling of it though, if it doesn't feel like you've got it, and just for us to have the ability to just go again one more time, two more times if we have the time, just to protect our own
we almost
emotional well-being.
Always have the time,
Which
with the
we
rarest of circumstances, and it usually comes down to this location is kicking us out, but I love finding out what happens on those takes,
and it's exciting, and it's something that I've learned to advocate for, because realizing how it does feel so personal, we're literally exposing ourselves, and so I that's something to the question of how we look after ourselves and keep creating, is that learning to advocate for actually, I need to do this for my well-being, and that's okay, and if we've got the time, then why not, and maybe something magic happens, and maybe it doesn't.
Sometimes something magic. I mean, I don't know how many times I think we got this, and then one of you guys is like, hey, can I just get one more? Of course, let's get one more, and then we do one more, and I'm like, didn't see that one coming. Using that, happy that you asked for that, thank you, because we don't necessarily know what's going to happen there, but even if it's just so that you say, I won't have to live with the regret of never going all the way on that.
Exactly. I can sleep tonight.
Yeah. You tell me. I know how you are.
I lose sleep. Yeah. I literally do sleep, going over it in my head, being like, oh no.
Oh no.
I'm sure you can relate.
When I'm in the shower, that's when I'm replaying every take, everything that I've done.
And your turnarounds are crazy. So I don't even know when you sleep to begin with.
I went to
lose whatever sleep that you
literally. I went to sleep sometimes this season feeling like I had the backpack on and the flashlight. I literally it was merging.
Flashlight,
I was curled up in the fetal position on my bed. I'm I'm hiding with a backpack and a flashlight.
I've never
hated
an inanimate object more in my
whole life.
A flashlight would ruin whole takes.
It would.
Ruin whole sequences.
Whole sequences.
Yeah.
Flashlight's pointing the wrong way.
Yeah.
Flashlight's on the wrong shoulder.
Well, thinking about those types of things, we were talking about what we would try to cultivate in our own process. And for me, the more experience I've accrued and the more knowledge that I have acquired from every department, I think I do have the tendency to think as an editor, as a director, and as in these ways as a camera op, when it is my job to be there in the moment and be present and play the part. I think that helps me in a lot of ways, but I think also I have to always remind myself to be accountable for your job. Not that I ever feel that I'm not, but that's something I learned in football. You do your job.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then
the rest will take care of itself.
Take care of itself. Yeah.
Do you guys all have hopes of wants or desires to direct, produce, write, or do anything else within the industry? Is he young? Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I think writing and directing seems to be both the greatest challenge and the greatest reward. And I love my job as an actor, but I also love the craft of creating cinema to get to a moment, and don't get me wrong, it seems sometimes impossible to do, and I see the scale of these things, but when I see someone, for example, like Mark Mylod, who is so enthusiastic, and there are moments where he beams with just such
like a little boy
joy, yeah,
right?
when you get something right,
yeah.
And I imagine it'd be incredible to do that, and to kind of get my tendrils into every aspect of that, from the music to the writing to the editing. I think that'd be great. Yeah.
I think if I were to go back and study another discipline, I think it might be camera. But directing, of course, is, and just to be the kind of, so we create these worlds that bubble up from the center out of nothing. And a boatload of money, but we in every department we and then they collapse in on themselves, and they're there. Everything is there, from the lights to the music to our beautiful set and everything else. And so I like to think with that tableau in mind, and touch all of these, to really touch all of these elements as you described, and. So that's moving forward. I think I need to, to find to retreat from the doing of everything, to be able to be more organizational, and be the team leader, to bring in other people to help execute the vision. Right.
What about you?
Wait, why don't you answer?
Yeah. What are your creative?
Because he wants to be
What
an
are your
actor.
creative goals?
Like in Mythic
You've
Quest.
done some acting.
Yeah.
You did. Have you seen Mythic Quest?
I am a reluctant actor.
That wasn't the question.
I know. I promise I'll answer a question, though. I will say that anytime I act, it's always like, as a day player, because a friend of mine is making a show, and they're like, you'd be good as this day player part. And Eric Stoltz, the actor Eric Stoltz, was directing this episode of my friend's show that I was day playing in. And he sent me the nicest email, like a month later. He's like, I'm editing this, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, the nice thing is, you understood what I needed, which was for you to do nothing. And I was like, yeah. It was like my dream day player is like,
Was this the show? This
man.
show?
no,
It's a different show.
it's a different show. It's called Countdown. And I was like, like less is more, and
Always.
so I try and be a good actor for those directors. But no, the thing is, we talked about that scene with Pedro and Catherine O'Hara, this therapy scene, and I realized how much I love scenes like that, how much I love scenes like the one where you are across the dining room table in Joel's house, just having that discussion. And I think to myself, I wonder if maybe I shouldn't try and write a play. Because
You'd be great at that.
well, save space for me being terrible at it,
Okay.
just in case.
You're allowed.
Just in case, opening night, you're like, whew, I was wrong.
Just use your stage name, Greg Mason.
Greg.
Greg Mazin.
That's
Greg Mason.
that's when I know when I've screwed up. Isabela calls me Greg. She's like,
Greg.
all right, Greg. But yeah, I think writing a play and capturing something that's so sparse and so concentrated down to just the performance, even a good old-fashioned one-act play, something really concentrated and
Yeah, you'd be great
one
at
set, I think would be, because I look at what David Mamet has done, those plays, I just think that's magical, and so yeah, something and
Exciting.
a lot easier than going outside and
you
freezing my
carry-
butt off.
Sure.
in
You carry
Alberta.
emotional residue and like shared histories between characters, and you carry these relationships so well that it's not even explicit in the dialogue. It's just the angles in which the words are coming from those histories, so they always seem to. So I think he'd be
All
great.
right, well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I do.
I just got to finish this small television program up,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and then I'll give it a shot. But now
pimples.
you,
Yeah, get to
You'll
work.
go.
what's up with you?
What are you?
Where are you
gonna
going? What you doing? What do you want to do?
you know.
Acting.
It's also
writing,
okay if you don't
Absolutely.
want to have any specific.
Or you're
creative
just cool
visions.
as you are.
I mean, I honestly have been actively trying not to make plans because every time I do, I feel like the universe laughs at me.
No.
No, but in
That's
a good
okay
way.
though.
That's actually good.
I think that's okay.
It is?
It's
Yeah.
actually good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm proud of what I've reaped and sown, and I think the more I try to control my future, the less I'll like it.
Wow.
Still, that's pretty zen right
Drop
there.
the mic.
I'm so zen right now. I don't know why. I think what most excites me about what I'm doing right now and what I could be doing in the near future is the people that I'm going to meet.
Yeah.
I really love people, and actually that's the reason I'm always late to set. I stop and I say hi to everyone and I talk to them about their children and their lives and
That's
their
true.
days, and because I love people, they fascinate me so much.
And boy, do they love
That's
you.
why you're such a good actor.
Maybe I love to get to know people who I resonate with, and more than anything, people I don't resonate with.
Yeah.
And that's why I got to know Craig. Like, I hated him. And now we're so close. 'Cause I was like, who is the opposite of me? I'm going to find them and I'm going to like them.
People are gonna think you really did hate me at first. Wait. Oh, Greg.
Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah, that's it. That's my answer.
What about you, Bella?
Well, I feel like I have 1,000 ideas swirling around in my head at all times, and the challenge for me is actually making any of them happen because I'm so bad at procrastinating and I get so afraid of sitting down and writing. I do write, and I'm afraid of sitting down and creating something because I have a slight perfectionist issue where I'm like, I want to do this, but I'm so scared that I can't do it how I want to do it that I'm not going to do it. And so the challenge for me is to starting is the hardest part. Like, sitting down and editing a script is terrifying, and writing is so scary, but I'm doing that and I really enjoy it. And I want to just take things that are in my brain and make them visible to other people, because people can't see my brain, which is sometimes I wish that you could just look inside, and that would be nice. I wish that would be my dream. Sorry, I'm really on a bit of a ramble.
Oh, I like it.
I'm right
good
there.
ramble.
I'm right there.
It's my dream that someone would invent a way to that we could swap brains with someone for a day, or be able to see someone else's brain, because I have such a hard time explaining myself often.
Have that same train of thought.
It would be so cool to do that. Anyway, so that's about
It
it.
also solved just about every problem we have in the world.
Right, exactly.
Because empathy wouldn't be something you'd have to make an effort to experience.
But then
True,
we'd
but
be
maybe
one
that's a
walking
shame.
nucleus,
Yeah,
you know.
it's
So
true.
perhaps
Oh,
it's
no, that's
best
not so
to-
bad.
We can be a nucleus.
Yeah.
You and I,
like
and
cordyceps.
everyone at this table.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'd be a nucleus with you guys.
Whenever asked about working with you, I always a poet. And so you being a writer makes
I do like
Your sense.
words. I like making words sound nice together.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Very
thing.
well spoken.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm eloquent. Sometimes absolutely nothing comes
Sometimes
out.
am not eloquent.
Sometimes I'm partially mute.
Do we end with Young flipping the table?
Yeah.
I can. Should I?